Okay. This is the DuPage County Zoning Hearing Officer Program. I'm calling my first case. Oh, you know what? I forgot to, officially we'll call the meeting to order, indicate that there's no public comments and there are no minutes to be approved. And so now I will call the first case, which is petition 25023 Sleeman. This is a request for variation to reduce the interior side setback for a chicken coop from required 25 feet to approximately 3 feet for an existing chicken coop. And number two, a variation to reduce the rear setback for a chicken coop from required 25 feet to approximately 3 feet for an existing chicken coop. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on May 6, 2025. And I have objections from the building department, but no comments from any of the other authorities to whom we've circulated the petition. I have three exhibits. The first is a survey. The second is a site plan. And the third is a group exhibit 3, which is the Third Coast Craftsman chicken coop building plans, I presume. It appears to be a brochure. Mr. Sleeman, I note, was sworn in, so would you state your name for the record and tell us your address?
Sure. My name is Musa Sleeman, and I've been sworn in as you stated before this meeting. My address is 5S as in Sam, 571 Tut Hill Road in Naperville, Illinois.
Okay. And how long have you live at the property, sir?
Yeah, I've been about a year and 2 months. I purchased the property last March.
Okay, what do you have to tell us about your case?
Well, just a quick background, but basically, there was a small coop that was in that exact area prior to me building this coop, and I've actually always been wanting chickens. So I assumed that that coop already had a permit, and I went ahead and just replaced that entire coop with my coop and made it a little bit bigger. I purchased plans, and I'm an engineer by trade, so I probably over-engineered the coop that I built, and I'd love to show you guys pictures and details of everything that I've done. And I wanted to make sure that it's done correctly, that, obviously all the neighbors were okay with this. Even before I started this, I wanted to make sure that everybody was okay with this from neighbors' perspective. And the only thing I didn't know is, like I said, I was not aware that the previous owner did not have a permit, which I learned afterwards that there was no permit for that property that was done. And it was probably my fault that I should have probably looked into that prior to building my coop. But I did spend quite a bit of time and effort into building this coop and building it in a way where it does not, not bother neighbors. There's no smell. It's away from septic and well. It's as far away back in the property as possible, and I do live on a decent sized property, so it's a decent ways away from the rest of the properties, from neighbors, from my property, and from adjacent properties, and lines as well.
But the question is the setback variations, interior and rear yard setbacks.
Yeah. So the land that's behind me, which is basically on the east of my property, is what was previously owned by the previous owner of my current home. But my neighbor, which is south of me, purchased that piece of land. So it's actually a vacant piece of land that's purchased. Yes, like I said, it's a 3 feet that's currently set back from that, but it is a vacant piece of land. There's nothing on it currently. But it is also 3 feet away from my north neighbor, which is, obviously it's supposed to be 25 feet, but it's only 3 feet away from them as well.
Well, there's nothing on the adjoining parcel currently, but that doesn't mean that you can infringe into the side yard setback.
And I totally agree to that. I'm actually currently in negotiations with my neighbor, either purchasing that piece of land or basically taking that piece of land, and he's supposed to give me about maybe 40 or 50 feet depth, and then I would be giving him that roadway, an extended amount of roadway, if we agree to that. Either that, or I would probably most likely be purchasing that back from my neighbor. Now, obviously, that's not done yet, so this is still in talks, but that's the plan right now.
Okay, anything else, sir?
Would you like to see pictures, of the coop itself, any details of that sort? I'd love to share with you guys some of that if you like.
I have an exhibit. I have an exhibit with the building brochure of the coop. I don't, the details of the coop are not significant to me at all. It's the question of the location of the coop.
Okay. The other thing that I could share is right now, moving that coop is not only, it's extensive amount of work to move that coop the way that it's built. It's also moving that coop anywhere. The only place that it would make sense, it's literally butted upon my property. And so for me to move that coop would just basically mean to destroy the coop because there's no other place that I can place it that would not be 25 feet, 25 feet away from both sides and the east side of that property, meaning that that coop is pretty much right butted around right next to my house. And that's where, we would be concerned about, it's too close, noise, things like that. And it's just doesn't make sense for us to place it there. So that's the concern that I have of moving that, if you guys decide that I need to move that coop, it's heartbreaking for me because I put in a lot of work onto that coop and making sure that it's safe, it doesn't smell, there's no noise. Even the water, the way that it leaves that, the area, it's away from in all properties. And I've done quite a bit of engineering work to it to make sure that it doesn't bother any neighbors. I know I spoke with all of my neighbors and I'm more than happy to get any letters from them if you like and share them that they don't have any issues with this coop's location the way that it is right now. Even the neighbor that owns the piece of land behind me has no issues with it at all. And he actually, went, as far as to tell me, I appreciate you putting it that far away so that I don't, it's even further away from his property and the property lines. So, the only other place I would have put it is on the other adjacent side, which is closer to his property, so he was appreciative that I put it even further away. So for me to move that coop would just means for me to destroy it and get rid of the chickens and it just not just heartbreaking for me, for the neighbors' kids, for my kids, and to get rid of all the chickens and all the work that I've done for that. So I hope that you guys can, see that case. And it's, I know that, my neighbors spoke with me. They've also, every single neighbor have told me that they received a letter from the village letting them know about the issue. And, we almost joked about it because, they enjoy it more than they have an issue with it. So, it would just be, heartbreaking for them as well, not just for us, because the entire neighborhood is benefiting from this.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
No one is here to give additional testimony in the case, so I'll treat the record as closed and we'll render our decision at the recommendation meeting, which is set for July 2nd at 3 o'clock.
Okay, is that something I have to attend?
No, not at all. I mean, you can, there will be a written decision and you can get the write-up by email.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate this.
Thank you. Okay, again, this is Robert Carthol, the zoning hearing officer. I'm calling case Z 25033, the Dubner petition. This is a request for variation to increase the height of a fence in the front yard from 4 feet 6 inches to approximately 6 feet. The variation to increase the opacity of a fence in the front yard from 50% to approximately 100% closed. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on June 3rd, 2025. And we have about a 0.2 acre lot. I have no objections from any of the authorities to whom we have sent the petition, with the exception of the Township Highway Department, who has questions about the possibility of a line of sight problem. I'm sorry, I forgot to say the building doesn't file a formal objection, but they indicate that they would prefer that the some specificity with respect to any relief granted rather than the recitation of approximate heights, is to make life easier for inspections. I have 2 exhibits. One is a plat of survey 2 is the survey site plan. And I'll indicate that I noticed that the 2 people who are online weren't sworn in before the hearing commenced. So can you guys tell me how long you've lived at this property?
So we're actually its newest resident. We've owned the property for, I guess, just a bit over a month and a half, and we moved in now 2 weekends ago.
Okay. And why do you feel you need, who lives there or who will live there with you?
If we may, and I certainly want to answer your questions, could we share a little bit of what we've prepared for you via the slides?
No.
Okay.
Because they're online slides. I can't take them as exhibits.
Okay.
They have to be a permanent part of the record. So if somebody comes to review this record and comes into the office and says, let me see the file, those slides will not be able to be included unless you provide hard copies, in which event, you know, I can, or email?
They can email them to me.
Yeah, you can email and then refer to them now and then email copies in if you want to do that.
We're
Sure.
happy to do that.
Yeah, happy to do that.
All right, then I'll take them as group exhibit 3, but let me get some background and then
Sure.
I just want to know who lives there.
Yes, so it's myself, Thomas, my wife, Mia. We have a 1-year-old daughter, Gemma, and a 5-year-old German Shepherd dog, Audi. And then, 2 cats.
Okay, how many slides do you have here?
Probably 6 or so.
All right,
There are 8 slides.
run through them, please.
You got it.
In front of your house.
Yes.
Nice house, by the way.
Thank you. Can you
Thank
see it
you so
okay?
much.
Yeah,
Okay.
Good. We'll keep this brief, but we felt it was important to be prepared to this meeting. Again, just to introduce ourselves. My name is Thomas. This is Mia. We're here on behalf of ourselves, our 1-year-old daughter Gemma. I'm sorry, our 1-year-old daughter Gemma, our 5-year-old German Shepherd Audi. Again, we're the newest residents and proud owners of 0N151 Stanley Street here in Winfield. So as you can see here, this is just a couple family photos. We love being outdoors. We are looking for a place for our family to recreate privately on our property. This is a bigger property than we're used to, and we want to be able to use it. Our biggest priorities in our request today is to emphasize the importance of our safety, security, and the privacy of our family now that we've moved to Winfield. And that's why today we're asking for a variance to the allowable height and opacity for our property privacy fence. So here you can see a bird's eye view of the home. And as you can see right in the middle of the page here, given the placement of the house on the property, the driveway and the entry door of the house actually face prairie. So we'll refer to that as actually the front of our house. When we moved into the house, the neighborhood, we love it. We love the neighborhood, the property, but unfortunately, as you can see here, we have no backyard. We do have a beautiful space on the side of the home, and our intention is to use that side yard facing Stanley Street as our backyard. Again, this is an exhibit you already have, but outlined in red is where we are requesting the fence to be built. And we would like to point out that there's a significant setback from the asphalt to our property line. We did measure it, distance about 33 feet, and we're confident that the placement of this fence will not cause any visibility concerns to traffic at the intersection of Prairie and Stanley Street. This is just another view of kind of where the fence would begin. We did go out there and did some detective work with a measuring tape and measured kind of from the asphalt, and you can see that it's 23 feet from Stanley and approximately 53 feet from our other road there. Let's take a look at that next Prairie.
is Stanley the front yard? You tell me.
Yeah.
So here we just really wanted to do our due diligence. We put this little pylon, if you will, a box with an orange towel, and then we added these red arrows over top, just highlighting where the fence corner would be. Since it's hard to see, my wife added those arrows, but you can see from every angle alongside the intersection that, given those setbacks already on the property, the fence is far back enough to cause no visible obstruction to traffic entering the intersection as they approach the stop sign, as they sit at the stop sign. There is visibility 100%.
Okay, could you hold on that one for a minute for me just to look
Sure.
at it carefully?
Of course.
All right, I think I have it.
Okay. So just reassuring that, it's important that we do things the right way. So we've selected a trusted, well-reviewed contractor, Peerless Fence, as our contractor to build this fence. This is actually the fence type that we would like to build. It's the height and style that we are requesting in today's hearing. Finally, just wanted to say thank you so much for listening. We hope you will approve our request for a safe, private, and secure place for our family to enjoy our new house. And thank you again.
Have you had occasion to be in touch with any of your immediate neighbors concerning the petition?
None
We have
have,
spoken with our neighbors and none have shown any objection or question or concern.
I missed the first few words. You said you have been in touch with your neighbors?
We have spoken with our neighbors. Yeah, our neighbors are very social and they've all come out. We've met them and none have shown any concern or question for us adding a fence.
And again, your concern is for security,
Yes.
privacy?
Yes.
How big is your dog?
She is 65 pounds.
So a shorter fence would not be secure for your dog, with possibility of the dog jumping over, right?
she's an extremely agile German Shepherd.
I'm familiar with that concept.
Yes.
All right, I understand what your request is, and I do want to accommodate the requests of the building department. I know that the language of approximately 6 feet was not your language, but rather more standard language. If we granted this not to exceed 6 feet, would that be satisfactory to you?
Yes.
Yes, it would.
All right, well, I have everything I need to make the decision. I will render my recommendation at our recommendation meeting, which is July 2nd. That will occur at 3 o'clock or shortly thereafter. You need not appear. It will be a Zoom if you care to appear, but all I'm going to do is read the decision.
Yes, sir.
And that constitutes a recommendation to the County Development Committee. And then ultimately the full county board will make the decision, the final decision. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you.
How may we get those documents to you for review?
Email to Jessica, if you would, please.
We will do that today.
Great. Good luck with your project.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
all. Thank you for your time.
Agrees on line for this case.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Bob Carthol, the zoning hearing officer. I'm calling case 25032, the Comra petition. The request is for a variation to reduce the required rear yard setback for a new house addition from 25 feet to approximately 11.35 feet. On a property in Milton Township, almost 1/4 of an acre. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on June 3, 2025. And I have no objections from any of the authorities to whom we have circulated the petition, with the exception of Village of Glen Ellen. The threat, and I don't know if that's a formal objection or letter of an advisory letter. Their point is that if this request were granted and the property is ultimately annexed into the Village of Glen Ellen, it would be a prior non-conforming use, pre-existing non-conforming use And there might then be restrictions on any further development. So, with that, I have, a survey and a site plan, which is probably the only exhibits that I'll need. I have a couple of witnesses here. One I noticed was sworn in, who is appearing by Zoom, but I need to ask, each of you to be sworn in, please.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you're about to give at this time shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes,
And can you identify yourselves?
yes, I'm Melissa Comer. I'm Christine Tice,
Spell your last name,
TICE.
and you're a neighbor?
I'm a neighbor,
Where do you live in relation to this property?
2 houses over. I'm at 21W574 Mayfield Court.
Okay, and Ms. Conroy, you live at this site?
Yeah.
How long have you folks lived there?
Since January of 2020, a little over 5 years.
And who lives at the property with you?
Myself, my husband, our son, and our dog.
And your dog?
Yeah.
Dog.
Dog.
My brother sent me a text today and said he's walking a dog, and I thought he was walking a dock for some reason, so it's a very well-educated dog. All right, I understand your request. It's not my job to determine the appropriateness of your decision whether you need an addition to your house. I don't know what your space requirements are, but my view at least is that's not my job. If you want an addition, I have to decide whether the request for variation meets the requirements for a variation in the setback lines. I see that your property is an irregular shaped lot, and the house has been built some time ago to be situated on that lot. There does not appear anywhere other than where you propose that a reasonable addition can be built, but that necessarily implicates problems with the setback lines. So we need to find a practical difficulty, unique circumstance, or hardship in order to validate this request. The existing location on the lot of the house and the irregular shape of the lot seem to resolve those questions for me. Did you have other reasons for your request or other justifications?
No,
So, want to make a statement?
Yeah, I've been sworn in. The only statement I would make is how the house is constructed is that the living space is on one side and the bedrooms and things are on the other side. So we kind of are, as you can see, in a growing family phase. So we just need a little more living space. We cannot accommodate on the other side of the house. And hence that's why we would like to do this addition on the side that we have proposed, which kind of,
That's a very good addition. Thank you for that. Anything else? You're the neighbor. Do you want to say that whether you approve or?
I'm good with it.
That's not the language of a formal decision, but that's something I might adopt. All right, guys, this is so straightforward for me. The object or my main goal is to do sort of the right thing with respect to the use of property and to be as reasonable and unbureaucratic as possible. So I'm trying to work on both of those. I understand. I'm ready to close the hearing. The record will be closed. We'll make a decision at the recommendation meeting on July. I keep forgetting. I want to say July 3rd, but it's July 2nd at 3 o'clock. You need not attend. You'll have a decision, which is a short write-up telling you the answer. And then my recommendation goes to the County Development Committee later in the month of July. they will review the record, my recommendation, and transmit their similar recommendation to the full county board still later in the month of July. So building permits and things can be worked out after that final decision, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you very much. I'll close the hearing. Go on the record in the Northwestern Medicine Marion Joy Rehabilitation Hospital case, which is 25034. This is a request for a variation to increase the height of a proposed monument sign from permitted 6 feet to approximately 13 feet 11 inches. Variation will allow 2 signs on the subject property, a one-sided masonry monument sign and a 2-sided monument sign. And 3, a variation will increase the total permitted copy area for 2 monument signs from the permitted 48 square feet to approximately 50 square feet. This is a 63-acre site. The matter was published in the Daily Herald on June 3rd, 2025, and I have no objections from any of the authorities to whom we've circulated the petition. I have a combined survey site plan, which is, I have a separate survey?
Yeah.
Okay, exhibit 1 then is a copy of a survey. Exhibit 2 is a copy of the site plan showing the sign. I'll take as exhibit 3, a letter from the attorneys. I've reviewed that letter prior to the hearing. And then I don't know what this is. It's probably these sign plans. Okay, exhibit 4, probably group exhibit 4 is a series of drawings of the sign plans. And can I ask each of you to raise your hand and be sworn in, please?
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony and evidence you're about to give at this time shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes.
Tell us your name and what your position is. Well, you can use the business address if you like, rather than your residence address for your addresses, but then tell us what your relationship to the petitioner is.
Caitlin Culbertson, Elrod Friedman, 350 North Clark in Chicago. I'm the attorney for the petitioner.
Okay.
And Kara Goldsberry, project manager with Northwestern Hospital. The address to the site that we're at today, I don't have memorized.
It's fun.
Okay, well,
It's a long address anyway.
it is Roosevelt Road.
The Marion Joy campus. Yeah, there we go.
Good enough. Okay. I understand pretty much what you're asking for. I read your brief, so I understand I think I understand the rationale. Do you wanna add some information or?
I think most of it is, what we provided in the narrative. This is, part of a project to upgrade the signage and obviously the entryway signage along Roosevelt Road and Community Drive. Just so I don't know if it was clear in our packets, but we ultimately plan on having, if you look at in the design plan, the 2, or I have the same as here as you have. The second to last page, page 6, thank you. There's the plan to put the 2, the 4, there's each is 2 elements of one cohesive sign on each side of Community Drive with the owner and tenant and address information for each. We are here today just with respect to the sign on the one corner of Community Drive with respect to the petitioner's signage, and then the sister's sign will be on the other one, but right along that corner is actually the border of Whedon, so we will go to the city of Whedon to ask for the relief relating to that signage. But just to clarify, that the plan will be to have the matching signage on each side, so that along Roosevelt Road, this major thoroughfare in the community, that there's clear visible signage directing traffic into the site, and allowing the emergency vehicles and the patients to clearly locate where they're trying to get in, and to entryway to the hospital area as well. So we're certainly happy to answer any questions or clarify anything, but hopefully it is, one point also, I apologize to make, we did say it in here, it is the sign we are asking for a height variation, but it is actually shorter than the sign that is existing on the property by about 5 inches. So it still does exceed the height limitation, but it is slightly smaller than the other one, and that, you know, because we're putting one on each corner to better reflect the different locations of the different tenants on the site. It allows for a slightly shorter sign with the still adequate visibility for the motorists.
Okay. I don't mean to sort of indicate that I'm glossing over this, but your brief was brief, but pretty thorough. So I understand your rationale, and I think you've made your case. You've resolved the hardship, unique circumstance, practical difficulty threshold issue. So I'm ready to, I mean, if you want to add something else, then go right ahead. But
Less is
get
why, I
where
don't want
you're
to say
going.
anything and change their mind. No, I appreciate
What a
that.
smart
Yeah.
lawyer. I was in a trial in, heck, this was in Michigan. And opposing counsel was making post-trial motions. And when I flew in from Detroit to Detroit. And the judge, I mean, we had like a 3-week trial, so it was complicated. But the judge argued with the plaintiff's attorney for 30 or 40 minutes. At that point, I had said, "Good morning, Your Honor," and mentioned my name. He said to me, "Anything else?" And I said, "Nothing further." And he said to a very crowded courtroom, "Now, when a lawyer knows that he's winning, he's very smart to say nothing further." So you and I are on the same page. The implication being that you're winning. All right, I'm ready to close the hearing. And we'll give you a decision at our recommendation meeting on the formal decision on July 2. That will then go to the County Development Committee at its next meeting following July 2, and then ultimately the full county board. Okay?
Okay, thank you
Great,
very much.
thanks very much. Hearing, I'll indicate that there's no old business, no new business, and so I'm ready to adjourn the 2:30 hearing.